you so much for joining us. Let's face it, life can be stressful. Many of our followers can feel overwhelmed by the fact that there are so many toxic chemicals out there, or that they are having trouble trying to conceive, or they're doing everything they can but can't lose weight. So, for many of us, a lot of these concerns overlap, which can be really overwhelming. And that's why we're really glad to be chatting on IG Live today with Christy Evans, an intuitive and a holistic wellness guide. During this live, we're going to discuss intuition, journal prompts for dealing with emotions, ways to soothe your emotional well being throughout the day, and much more. I saw Christy. Here you are. Hello. Hi, Christy.
Hi, Jenna. How are you?
How are you?
I'm great. I'm excited.
Yes, me too. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. But first, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became an intuitive and holistic wellness guide.
Okay. Yeah. So let's see. So my journey essentially began through my own health challenges. And I discovered that health is beyond just the physical, that health requires a a multidimensional approach. So while we're working on the physical, there could be physical stressors going on, but there's probably something going on underneath that. So in through my home journey, I basically was diagnosed with mold toxicity, Lyme, reactivation, MCAS, multiple chemical sensitivity, limbic system dysregulation, all of it. But before I got there, conventional medicine just called it health anxiety and to take a yoga class. And yeah, you know how that
Oh
goes.
no. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So in that I had to figure out how to heal myself. And I along the way, I already had a master's degree in speech pathology, but I wanted to learn more about the more integrative alternative side and made my way into the holistic health practitioner world and also like discovered my own intuitive gifts which tend toward helping others understand what's underneath the root causes of their ongoing health challenges. So I'm really passionate about empowering people and restoring health holistically, so physically and mentally, emotionally, energetically, and spiritually. So very like multifactorial and multidimensionally.
I love it. I love it. So, a lot of people don't have a clear understanding of, what this intuitive wellness is. So, explain to us, like, what is intuitive wellness?
I guess it could really be understood in from many different lenses, but the way I use the term intuitive wellness is more of an approach. So while people may experience similar symptoms, they all may have fatigue, but their journey of having that symptom is very unique. And so when I say intuitive wellness, it's looking at somebody as an individual, their unique story, their patterns, and what really needs to be targeted and in a sequence that's going to work with their body and support them toward harmony and balance versus just putting them into like a protocol or just something that is kind of cookie cutter. Even in the alternative space, there's protocols, but you can even individualize those protocols. So I help work with people that are already working with a primary care practitioner person, and I help support that journey so it's more individualized, and I help them look at it beyond the scope of just the physical lens. So that's my use of intuitive wellness. But yeah, how does that land in your understanding?
Oh, this is awesome. I also love it that you call yourself a intuitive and holistic wellness guide. I really love this guide because I think there's a lot of coaches out there, but guide feels like there's so much more. It's giving you directions, and also I really love this really personalized approach.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, like a functional medicine and holistic medicine, it's already pretty personal, but you're adding another layer of personalization on top of that, which is super cool.
I'll add to that. Like, guide to me resonates because sometimes an intuitive lane can be called a healer or something. And I don't resonate with that because the healing is the person is doing the healing. The doctor, the practitioner, the guide, they're only providing information and suggestions, but it's up to the person to take that action or to instill that change or that habit, and they are doing the healing and everyone else is just a guide and supporting. And it just feels like a more empowering place for myself and the people I work with.
That's so true. So can working on your intuitive wellness help with your emotional well-being?
Of course. Okay, so intuition and emotional wellness, they both require a turn inward. And it's typical for someone who's been challenged with health, not knowing what it is, or ongoing health challenges, to be looking outward to this person, to this modality, to this solution outward. And I get that because I've been there. Okay. But when we're looking at intuition and emotional wellness, it requires us to get quiet or to go inward and to have that inner self discovery. So the way I would separate the intuition and the emotional wellness is that intuition is neutral. It's something we get through our own senses. Everyone is intuitive. This is not special. It's just a skill that we practice, just like processing our emotions is also a skill that requires practice. And when we turn inward and if we're tuning into our intuition, there's a neutral sense that's coming through, then we can acknowledge that as an intuitive. We don't have to do anything with it. We can just acknowledge it. The emotional part of it is typically charged. So emotions are going to have a charge. Maybe it's a really high positive charge or a negative, if you will, charge. And those negative charges can tend to have reactions to them, or we are not conscious, we're not in our center when we're having that experience. So when we turn inward and we discover tools on how to do that, it allows us to become more familiar with our emotional landscape. What are our typical emotional reactions? We can learn from them, we can integrate them where the charge can get softer so we have more space to respond. And when we do that and we practice and we can tune into that intuition, we can blend our intuition and our emotions together with the power of our strong mind and work together to take action. So I hope that made sense. Do you ever
Yes,
that?
that's really beautifully said too.
Thank
It,
you.
it makes total sense. So when it comes to dealing with emotions, I know you're like a big fan of journaling for emotions. So why is that?
Okay. So I don't disconnect the mind and the body. Yes, traditional medicine or conventional medicine will, separate like a gap here between the two realms. They're intimately connected. So journaling is a great way to get the mind. Well, sometimes our mind can be spiraling and we're not even aware of the stories that are happening because they're just happening and we're not conscious to them. And then when we're having a spiral of the mind, the body is going to respond, whether we're conscious of those thoughts or not. They are having dialogue back and forth. So, journaling is a great tool because the mind is going to be caught in a story. The body is going to have an associated emotion to that story. And neither one of them is supporting our wellness. Okay. So journaling allows us to slow the mind down, to concentrate. And when we actually write, it's a lot slower than our mind thinks. So we need to get our thoughts out. And as we do that, we can start to peel back layers of the way that our mind is, what patterns we have there, the beliefs we're holding, and then we can look at the emotions that are associated with that and get curious about why. So it's a great tool to really slow down, find out, what's happening when we're not conscious out there.
It's really interesting because I literally had that conversation with my mother-in-law. My father-in-law over the weekend had emergency gallbladder removal surgery, and she was really nervous. And then he ended up in the ICU just for briefly a day. And then she was really nervous, had me call the ICU nurse, and the ICU nurse told me exactly what you just mentioned. She said, "Okay, if your mother-in-law is really nervous, and since we're not there in Australia, or we're not there with them." So she said, tell her to write her questions down for the doctor, write her thoughts down, and then present it to the doctor, when she has her visiting hours. So this can really help calm her down. And I was like,
This is really interesting. I never thought about because it makes total sense. Writing it down, this process of slowing down allow you to kind of managing your emotion a bit.
That's yeah, I'm sorry they're going through that. And I love that this nurse was so supportive to give her a resource. I know it's hard to not be there.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that. And it's the same with like just basic life when like, oh, I have so much to do. And we just write it all down. And all of a sudden it becomes more manageable. We can break things into bite size. So if we have all these questions and worries, writing them down, it creates more
Mhm.
space. We can breathe a little bit better. Yeah.
So some people might have trouble just to get that started. So what are some prompts that someone can write about if they're feeling overwhelmed with emotion?
Mm. Okay. So I'm all about that inner discovery because if I'm being honest, this was my journey. I had somebody in my 20s tell me I'm digging 101-foot holes and I need to dig one 100-foot hole within. So that was like very I found this person like probably over a decade and a half later and just thanked them for that because that was like the first time someone named it to be, and it was so true and it resonated deeply, but it's shining that spotlight back in.
Mhm.
Okay, I understand that tendency of wanting to go to the mind to feel our emotions. That's not processing our emotions, or to suppress, or to not feel, or to push off. So to really turn inward, it takes courage. So one, I honor that, right? People being willing to turn toward, shine a spotlight on the emotion. And this is, if I were to simplify it, I'd say this. So number one, name it. Name the emotion. And you can start with like the basic core emotions, like negative, if you will, these more dense charged emotions. So fear, anger, sadness, guilt, shame, Inside Out. Inside Out covers it, right? Like disgust, if you know that movie. So anxiety. So naming the emotion. Step one. Step two, starting to connect with the emotion and like describe it. So what is or actually no, before that, locate it. Where we feel it. So name it and then find out where. So maybe, it's typically in the body, but it could be even in the jaw or in the head. So just finding out like where specifically anger are you living right now? And it could move. So just in this one example, where is anger? Okay, it's across my chest. Okay. And then, for example, now we're going to start to like get more curious, like discover more about it. So asking it questions so you can like dialogue with it and ask like, you know, or even sense into it. So, how are you feeling? Like why are you here? What age did you start to come into my body? What are you serving? What do you want me to know? Because when we turn toward this emotion, the location, the feeling that it's giving us, is it making us tight? Is it making us hot? Is it prickly? Like really getting connected to it is going to soften it. Um, and if we're being honest, this is probably not the first time we're having this experience or this emotion or this feeling. So if we can take that step and go a little deeper and just, find out when was the first time that this emotion was felt and what what you need right now that you didn't get when you discovered this pattern of emotion, and with like love and compassion and like grace, giving yourself what you needed at the age that you were when your needs weren't met, and you created this emotional energy in your body that has been waiting to be seen, has been waiting to come to the surface to be processed. And when you meet the young with your now love and compassion, it will soften and that pattern can soften. So the next time, whatever happened in your now life that triggered anger, that was rooted in not feeling protected or supported at a certain life event. You don't have to ever figure it out, but you're like, I was young and I didn't feel like I was protected, so I had to protect myself. So now I trigger anger. Anger sets a boundary, And that boundary is very firm just for self protection. So you can learn about your own cycle. So if I were to recap that, so name it, locate it, describe it, get in touch with it. Is there a colors or textures or, sensation? And then go deeper and dialogue with it. Learn. It's here for a reason. It thinks it's helping you survive. And then ultimately, with love and compassion, let this part of you know that you've got this and that you can let this pattern go. Does that help or make sense?
Totally. It's so funny you re-describe it because I was like literally writing it down when you were saying it. What are the steps? Because I think like okay, even people don't get to the final step, even start naming it, locating it, and describing it, even just not getting to the final, even just do the first few steps. I think that helps.
Totally. Awareness. Awareness is so powerful because it's coming from a subconscious pattern. It looks like it has a purpose, like this is here for this reason, but it's coming from something underneath. So when we can name it, we're already bringing it from the subconscious to the conscious, where we have more control or understanding to how we want to work with it. So 100%. Yeah.
You mentioned about like negative emotion is like super highly charged. So why does focusing on positive things in your life can help start balancing out the negative emotions? I mean, it makes sense, but just like it'll be nice to hear from your explanation.
Okay. So if we go back to what I was saying, how the mind and body are connected. So there's that. And I also don't, when I answer this, I don't want to bypass that emotional processing by just skipping to a better mindset. So I feel there's a time and a place. So if the timing is right to name the emotion into dialogue and have this turn the spotlight inward, that might be something we do at the end of the day when we have time, or maybe just name it quickly to learn from it in the moment. But when we're just going about our day, and if that loop that we were talking about is not beneficial, it's not serving us, it's not moving us toward the ideals that we have for mental, emotional, or physical wellness, then I love this little technique that you can say. So, um, sorry, I'm just like blinking at my words. Um, cancel, delete, clear. All I need is here. Cancel, delete, clear. All I need is here. And and when you do that, you're like, okay, this ruminating is not serving. Cancel, clear, cancel, delete, clear. All I need is here. Or delete, delete, delete. You can think about like your computer. Delete, delete, delete. That's not helping. So I'm just going to cut that. There might be a time and place that I want to go back and learn from that. But if we can block that and then maybe tune into the present moment. So the breath is always our guide to bringing harmony between the mind and the body. So cancel, delete, clear. All I need is here. Come back to your breath. It's going to anchor you in the present moment, where if we were spiraling in the mind, creating thoughts in the body, we're going to start vibrating at that frequency. And that's going to create more experiences at that lower resonance. So if it's not the time and place to turn inward and process, cancel it. Be here now, that present moment awareness. And if you want to add to that, you can just say, one or more things that you can feel gratitude for, not think it, but feel it. And so we're going to bring the breath and this present moment awareness, a sense of higher feeling frequency, bring that all back to the moment. And we're completely going to shift the trajectory of the next step. So that makes
Yeah.
sense.
I no, I love this. Is super tangible like tips you just gave. I know sometimes that people have the fear, like fear to even just name these emotions and then to process these things. So I know like you had a really powerful post about fear, holding us back from healing. So why is that?
Yeah. Um, okay. We've probably heard of the lizard brain, survival brain. When we're in fear, we're in this survival brain. And when we're in the survival level of our brain, it's a big barrier to our healing, because what happens in fear, I'll, I'll use different terms than I did in that post, but our nervous system has the sympathetic and parasympathetic. When we're in a sympathetic dominance, driven by fear, driven by surviving, we're not in parasympathetic, which is our rest and repair and our healing. So when we're looking at wellness, physical, mental, all of it, we need we need to access, not always, but balance the sympathetic with parasympathetic. So if we're stuck in fear, we're also probably stuck in sympathetic dominance. So that can look like fight, flight, freeze, fawn, the whole thing. So it may look like somebody dealing with a health challenge that's experiencing fear. They might be impulsive. I need this. I need to do this. I need to do this. Or they might be edgy and hyper vigilant and like just there's a lot of reactions. But when, because the mind and body are connected, when we are in fear, holding that emotion, and the nervous system is in the sympathetic dominance, it is very common that people are going to experience symptoms in the body because of the fear. GI issues, hormonal imbalances, chronic fatigue, suppressed immune system. I mean, the list goes on. So, I almost forgot the question. So you're asking about fear. So yes, fear is a barrier to health, and to balance that is what can we do to support balance. It's not about only being in the parasympathetic state. It's about accessing it, especially for sleep. That's when so much healing happens. So I'm a big proponent of a lot of circadian rhythm and sleep at health hygiene, because that is a great way to support that state, but also our breath, coming back to the breath and coming back to the body.
So it sounded like, sleep and all these are so important. It's like something that you really should be practicing every day, right? So like when
Correct.
it comes to, dealing emotions also throughout the day, what are some things that, we can do before we even get out of bed to start the day off on a balanced emotional footing?
Yeah. And I guess I'm kind of speaking more to like the ongoing health challenges in and how I'm talking, but because I know the work that you beautifully bring forward is looking at those stressors, external stressors that are impacting our physical well-being. So I'm kind of looking at that lens. But yes, even in the lighter lens of just how do we get our day off on a good footing? This is like for everyone, right? So I'm a big proponent, like I mentioned, of sleep and sunrise and circadian rhythm. So hopefully that's already happening. You're hopefully already waking up with the sunrise. And as the light's starting to come in, the neurotransmitters are starting to, signal all these beautiful hormonal pathways and signaling through the body and all of this. In that transition, we can do some simple things that have really big impacts, such as while you're still in that liminal space of waking, you probably had some dreams. Those dreams could be useful information. So like just sit there in a minute and like don't rush to waking. Just be in that space and get curious. Maybe there's insight. And then from that, connect more to the body, come into the breath again. And then I love this as an intentional practice. It's so simple. You can find a word for the day. It doesn't have to be a word your mind thinks you should have. Just a word that resonates, because when you're in resonance, that is more true than forcing something else. You're going to create a better day from resonance. So maybe today is all about ease, like I'm going to take the edge off. I'm going to find that ease. So ease is the word I'm resonating with today. You're still lying down. You breathe into your belly, breathe in all the way up your spine, ease, and then breathe out, ease, just one time. Anchor your day. Put your feet on the earth. So like sit upright now with presence. And then you feel your feet grounded. You rise with the breath. You rise with your anchored, your word of the day. And then you move on. And honestly, you'll probably never think about the word the rest of the day, maybe when you go to bed. But if you think about it throughout, it's going to recenter you back into your body into your intention, and that will also shift your energy, your frequency that you're resonating with. So, how do you like that?
Love it. I mean, like we love what you do, and that's why we're like really want you to come on our Instagram. While we're dealing with these external factors, but we know, your body has a natural detox system. We tell people to avoid these, but your body still have to work hard to get rid of them. So unless you have a healthy body and a way to maintain it, that's adding in, the stress and everything else. You can't detox. So it's like so important for people to understand, how to deal with their emotions, then how to keep their body optimized so then they can actually get rid of the toxins or maintain it.
Yeah, you understand it because someone might go straight to detoxing, but they haven't processed some emotion that's stored in the liver. I feel like I'm focusing on anger and liver today. So, there the liver is a big detox organ. So it's all connected. It'd be nice if we could like really segment our existence, but it's not. It's all connected. So, yeah, hope that helps.
So you mentioned about breathing and you mentioned about like the actual grounding. What are the things we can do actually throughout the day to help us feel more the feeling of more grounded if we can tell, our emotions are starting like bubble over.
Well, one, good. That means you're human and that's life. Okay. So like there is no perfection in this human experience. So emotions are actually really beautiful. Okay. So it's not about getting our emotions to neutral. It's like we want to have a relationship with them, right? So yay, we have big emotions and they're informing us of something in the now, in the past, wherever. So say it's just too overwhelming though, and this is like different than just human emotions, but we're bubbling up. One is just to take basic self-care, like drink clean water, step outside, turn toward the sun, put your feet on the earth, maybe have a conversation with a friend if we need to process. But then something, if we can add to that, and I don't know if it's true for everyone, but it does feel true for me, is music. I know music helps move energy for me. So if you can just put some music on, and if you can't, that's okay too. And then movement. Movement is also a big way of moving emotions and energy. So that can just look like bouncing or just shaking out or wiggling or just a little sun salutation or um, dance. If you got music on, go for it, right? So these are that's like a quick way, like music and movement to me are quick ways beyond the basic self-care that the body just might need a reset, might just need some quiet, just deep breath. And then connecting with someone will also help. So connecting with someone in person. So sometimes we might go like isolate a little bit, to go out and just talk to the cashier, look them in the eye, make human connection. These are kind of some tips if that helps.
Yeah, I love it. I think sometimes it's also hard for people to get started, or maybe they need this positive reinforcement or checking on their compliance. So, when people facing these things, how can someone, work with you? Because then you can actually guiding them through this process.
Yeah, thanks for that. I offer 3 different sessions, even though that's just for simplicity. They all sort of interconnect, but I do support people through that physical lens of wellness. So the internal and external stressors and creating actions that support them on their personalized wellness plan. And then more in the conversation today would be more like the life coaching sessions I do. We look at the limiting beliefs, we look at the trapped or stored emotions. So again, like we talked about that intuitive piece in the beginning. I don't want to tell someone why XYZ is help, but I'll ask questions and guide them into that exploration to kind of uproot, but I'm really good at getting it to the root. And when there's a physical challenge going on, especially when it's chronic, there is something at the root physically and emotionally there. But there's also times where there's an energetic interference. spiritual energetic interference. It could be something they're not even aware of, or something we can do to shift on that kind of energetic plane, working in that quantum space. So, and that would be like more that spiritual sessions that I offer. So, there's that. And then in my link in bio here on Instagram, there's two resources. One's for the sessions, the other is for an app waitlist, because I'm creating an app with an ebook that has tons of resources, including yours. And this ebook is about healing holistically across all levels: physical, mental, emotional, energetic, spiritual, including environmental. And so I'm excited about that. And it's coming soon. So anyone that would like to be connected or stay a part of that conversation, sign up for the wait list and you get a little free guide. I love the elements. I love working with the elements. It's just a free way that we can support our wellness with simple daily habits, working through the 5 elements. So that I feel is deeply connected. So earth in the physical body, water, emotions, fire, working with our energy body, and then air, our mind, and then ether, our field, our energy field, our unique blueprint. So there's that over there as well.
That's so cool. Please, please keep us like updated, like when the app and the ebooks are coming out, so then we can promote it.
Love that. Thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me into your space and your community and this conversation. I'm really grateful. I appreciate you.
No, this is super cool. We're gonna have, once your ebook and the app is out, we should invite you back to come and talk about these, because I think
Love that.
people should have these tools in their toolbox to deal with and then you can use it every day.
I love that. And all of this would be key 11, this conversation. So there's 14 keys. So it's very, like, what I bring forward is very multiple like layers. So and I would love to invite you into my space and bring your offerings forward too, because it's so valuable to know and have that awareness so that we can take empowered action, make changes, and create those simple changes with big impact. So thank you so much for
Absolutely.
what you do.
Love it. Love it.
Cool.
Thank you. Have a good
Thanks.
day.
Okay, bye.
Bye.